massive ACC matchup on Friday night. Louisville on the road against the Miami Hurricanes, our number one team in the country. Miami, talk about like Heisman moment. Friday night, good opponent. Carson Beck coming off his best game of the season against FSU. Another opportunity for him to cement himself in that conversation. And obviously, as one of the best quarterbacks in America as well. I was watching a lot of Louisville tape this morning. And, heading into the season, they were kind of one of my sleepers in the ACC. I was like, you know what?
Yep.
You got two great running backs coming back for their sophomore years. I love the fact they went and got Miller Moss in the offseason from USC. Thought that's a great guy to get to play in this offense. Very much a ball control, run it, play action pass, throw the football type system. And then I watch them and I'm like, where's the run game? Where are these running backs? What's going on? And to look up and see that they're 12th in the ACC in rush offense, 3.83 yards per carry, only 150 yards per game.
Yeah.
It's not been who their identity is, and that worries me a lot going against Miami.
As it should. And I think that the reason for that, though, a little bit banged up, maybe some other stuff going off the field, but they have not been themselves. They have not been the two running backs that we saw a year ago. And you saw Isaac Brown flash a little bit last week, but that was more as a receiver, and what he did in the pass game wasn't really on the ground, where a year ago, anytime this guy touches the rock, you're holding your breath thinking he can go, to the house. And that just hasn't been the case. I think the offensive line is, significantly worse as well, which obviously hurts everything involved.
I think that's the biggest issue is the offensive line.
Well, that and hurt, and maybe they got hurt because of the offensive line. They're not blocking for him. Guy gets
it's always the offensive
line's
fault.
It's it usually is, and we're fine with that. But I think the interesting point about this, and I just got done talking with Akeem Mesidor, the very talented defensive end for Miami, a day ago. They're excited for this opportunity. Like, Louisville's going to throw it. They're going to throw it 30, 40 times. And that's really the first time that Miami has faced an offense of this caliber. And so they're like, yeah, let's go to work. Like, let's put our ears back and let's go hunt. And him and, Ruben Bain, who's the highest graded PFF player in the country. Like, this guy is playing absolutely out of his mind. Now we can see them go. And it's not like it's Tommy Castellanos back there. It's not Gunnar Stockton. This guy, a little bit of an athlete, but he ain't moving around. He's not a guy that you're afraid and fearful of if you miss your gap or if you get outside your rush lanes that can, just kill you with his legs. So I'm fascinated to see that matchup. And inversely, on the other side of that coin, is the defensive backs are going to be tested like they haven't been tested all year long. Yeah. And so Chris Bell, I think, is great. Eddie Royal loves Chris Bell. I think he can emerge into a first-round pick. And Colin Lacey was a 1,500-yard receiver a couple years ago. He faced injuries last year. Those guys have the ability. Will they have the time? I don't think so. And if you're not balanced, you can't run it. I mean, those guys are going to be teeing off defensively for Miami.
Yeah. My big worry is I like Bell. I mean, obviously, if you're going to win some one-on-ones, he's going to be down the outside. But that's not Miller Moss's game. Like, if you watch Miller Moss for the past year and a half, his game is more the intermediate stuff. He's not the most gifted passer vertically down the field. A lot of it is within that 10 to 15-yard range where ball's coming out, which may be, kind of what you need to do against Miami, because I don't know if you want to drop back, 7-step drop, 2 hitch, throw the ball vertically down the field. So maybe this does match up where, like, hey, our identity is obviously we're not going to completely abandon the run. We have to give some sort of presentation because we do enough play action pass to show that, hey, we are willing to run the football. But Miller gets the ball out on time, in rhythm. He's very accurate with the football. And like I said, they may not even have the opportunity to throw the ball vertically down the field. So, when you look at them and how they win this football game, we've said it with a couple of these other teams, like when you're a football team that has a disadvantage when it comes to talent, which, let's be honest, Louisville does in this game against Miami, can you hold on to the football? Mm-hmm. Can you own time of possessions? And that goes to Miller Moss being accurate within those 10 to 15 yards. But that does allow Miami to kind of say, you know what? One, this guy isn't as talented throwing the football down the field. Not saying he can't, but that's not his game. We can play tight.
Right.
Like, I think they themselves, they're not going to just sit back and let Miller Moss pick him apart and play soft zone coverage. Like, I expect Miami to be in their face, making life difficult, and know that, hey, man, our defensive line is going to be able to get after it. If he does do 2 or 3 hitches against an offensive line that has struggled this season, Bain and company are going to get after him.
Right. 100%.
So I just think at the end of the day, if the run game was more balanced for Louisville, in which those defensive ends and defensive line couldn't just rear back and feel like they can get after the quarterback, I think you may have an opportunity to own some of that time of possession, keep Miami's offense off the field. But without the ability to run the football, I just think
No, it's hard.
Miami's going to play uber aggressive defensively.
That's what I would do. And listen, both these teams coming off bye weeks, and so were you able to get your guys relatively healthy? Were you able to give them some time? We're at that point in the season where maybe not. It's not just going to happen. Kind of overnight. If you've been banged up all year, one week off, one weekend off, probably is not helping. Too much at this point. And I think the interesting thing about what you said there too. I'm for sure going, man. I'm disrupting timing. I'm pressing. I'm being aggressive. I don't want him dropping back at the top of his route and a guy finding a window. I want to be on you. I want him to think. I want his eyes to have to come down for a second, and then it's a party in the backfield for those guys. And then offensively, look, for the course of the year, Louisville's defense has been pretty good. I mean, they're amongst the middle top of the ACC there, but you look at opponents, you look at who they've played and what they have done, against their ACC comrades here, it's a little bit different. And the defense has looked a little bit different. And I think, you and I have been on top of this since game one. Like, Miami is very balanced. They know what they want to do. They have the ability to run it and clearly throw it at a very high clip. How do you want to die is essentially the pick you have to make. Are you going to load up the box? You're going to drop in coverage. Either way, it's not a great option for you. We saw that's what Florida State wanted to do. They loaded up the box. They said, you are not going to run the ball effectively on us. Carson Beck said, no worries, no problem. I'll just take it.
You have to be able to out physical Miami if you want to compete with them. And not even out physical. You have to be able to match their physicality at the lines of scrimmage. And I just don't think that there are many teams out there, if any, maybe not if any, but there's a handful at best of teams that can match what they present at the lines of scrimmage, that can then protect themselves on the back end, just like we talked about with Alabama going against that offense. Can you match physicality in the front defensively while still being able to play coverage? And while Louisville's been really good stopping the run, I don't know if they're that physical enough to be able to stop the run with a light box against Miami.
Right.
Exactly. And like I said, Miami's shown the ability. You kind of allude to it. Like, if you want to bring pressure, Carson's coming off his best game of the season with 4 touchdowns against FSU on the road. Yeah. If you want to go light box, he'll just continue to hand the football off and run it. So it's just my only question with Miami in this football game. And it kind of feels like somewhat Georgia-esque in a different way, because like we're going to question, like, can Georgia start off fast and just play 4 quarters of football? It's kind of the reverse. Miami, it feels like every single game, Miami comes out in the first half and just dominates, where it looks like, oh my gosh, like this could be a bloodbath. Yeah. And then they just hit the brakes a little bit, just kind of put it in neutral and like, hey, we're in cruise control throughout the rest of this game. And, for people who don't watch them, like, oh, it was a close game against Florida State. Oh, it was a close game against Notre Dame. Oh, it was a close game here. It's like, man, if you watch the game, like that game was never, ever in doubt. Yeah. They dominated. The box score does not really show that, but it would be nice if for once the box score did match what we saw with our eyes.
I agree.
And I think, to me, this is a great time on a Friday night. A lot of people we watch in this football game, a lot of people that maybe haven't watched as much Miami football as they should, kind of see a team that looks the part and it obviously finishes that way too, with a dominant victory against the Cardinals.
Completely agree with you. That's my number one key in this game. And not saying that they're going to blow these guys out, but it's a 13.5 point spread. So clearly Vegas thinks that they're 2 touchdown favorite, and they're flirting with that. So if and when you get up by that point, don't let them back in. I totally agree with you. Flex your muscles, show everybody, because here's the interesting thing that's already started by all your little SEC friends. Ohio State, Indiana, Miami do not play a ranked team for the rest of the year in the regular season. It matters how you win and what it looks like. You have to make statements, especially when you don't have this imaginary fun number beside the opponents that you play.
Yeah, well, I think they get it. I'll take Miami. That's my first one where I think Miami lays the points there, 13.5. I'll take Miami.
I think I'm with you, and maybe I'm just being uber confident right now, and I'm just an idiot. We'll find out. But give me the Canes to cover as well.